This is the story of the Greedent at Solo the Galar region. No teammates, no plan, just one round squirrel against the world. This is my Pokemon Sword Greedent solo run. I hope you enjoy.
Alright, it is like 11:51 p.m. I'm getting ready to go to bed, but I figured before I went to bed, I would get started on this because this is going to be pretty fun. Alright, so unfortunately, I don't have access to Greedent yet, so I picked the closest thing, Grookey, because they both start with GR. You know, Greedent, Grookey, you know. So it's basically a Greedent. And, I have to get through this first rival battle. Alright, this is pretty exciting. First of all, I want to show this off. This is the original Pokemon Sword case that I got back in 2019 when this game came out. But yeah, I mean, it's empty. There's no game card. I don't have my original card anymore. This is a digital copy now. But I do still have the case, at least. That's one thing I really like. I still have the case. But I'm finally able to make it onto the first route. And would you looky here, this will be our friend.
There's another reason why this run is special. This is being uploaded around the 1-year anniversary of my first video. As a celebration, I decided to play my first Pokemon game with one Pokemon.
Alright, now for the name. This is going to be fun. Okay, so I'm sure, like, some of you probably remember I made a post a while ago asking for Greedent names for no particular reason. And this was indeed the reason. So I looked through them and I got some outside source suggestions as well. And I think my personal favorite is the one on screen somewhere here where my finger's pointing. Yeah, I'll put it there. Chubs.
My initial plans for this Squavit were very different from what the story wanted. Instead of heading for Motostoke, I explored the wild area and began doing multiple max raid battles. After collecting enough experience candies, my Squavit evolved. After evolving Chubs into a Greedent, I set out for Motostoke. I made it to Motostoke and selected my uniform number. I went with 820, as that's the national dex number for Greedent. I then attended a pep rally, but for some reason, I get the feeling someone was missing. There's 8 gyms, right? This is only 7 people. Continuing on, I fought Hop and Bead and got attacked by Wooloo. The gym was pretty full, so I decided to kill some time learning about some Darkest Day thing. Good thing that issue is over 1,000 years away, and won't end up being a problem for me. I also got to see what it was like being a Greedent, a very important step in growing our bond. Moving along, I went to take on Milo. This gym was pretty easy, but to be fair, I did also have a level 25 Greedent going into it. Milo, crushed. After defeating Milo, I was able to head down Route 5. Something interesting is the double battles in this game are completely avoidable if you only have one Pokemon. Team Yell were giving this poor guy troubles, so I had to fight them off. I ended up getting a new Rotom form that I can only hope someday becomes an actual form. I continued east until reaching Liverpool and seeing the Fab 4. Wait, this is actually a Holberry, and those are not the Beetles. I begged Nessa to return to her gym, and went to take on the challenge. Thanks to the raids I had done earlier, I was able to go into this battle already knowing Seed Bomb, so this was a fairly easy sweep. Nessa photosynthesized. After this gym, I was asked to meet up with Chairman Rose at the nearby restaurant. Something smells fishy. I'm sure this isn't foreshadowing in any way. I then made it back to Mostoke to take on the gym. This was the first gym that actually gave me some trouble. I learned that for the Sizzlepede fight, the opponent loves to spam sand attack, so I just opted to avoid that one. Cubby's gym was actually a pretty tough one. He loved relying on burns, so my strategy shifted to using a Rossberry to cure the first instance of burn. Kabu, extinguished. Now that I have 3 badges, I'm deemed worthy of entering Hammerlock. I ran to Leon, told him that his brother was probably recovering from getting beat up, and got to tour the vault. After showing my Greedent the tapestries, we went to Route 6 and made our way to Stow on Side. Hop had made some adjustments to his team and wanted to try it out and about with me. I'm better than Hop though. His team is flawed and thus he loses. Greedent, not a single flaw to this guy. My team will never have to change, because Greedent is just built different. I prepared my Greedent for the next gym by teaching it Psychic Fangs, a move that hit almost all of these Pokemon for super effective damage. What I wasn't ready for was the battle itself. I was under the false impression that I'd be fine. Sure, Greedent is weak to fighting, but it had the bulk and the levels to have me confident. But this confidence was short-lived. This time I read her moves properly, and thus claimed victory in my 4th gym battle. Be outsmarted. My next stop wasn't actually story-based. It was preparation for the next gym. I knew I would need to prepare for fairy types, and planning ahead, I wanted to be ready to challenge Gordy as well. So, after farming a few thousand watts, I managed to grab myself the TRs for Earthquake and Gyro Ball. There wasn't much to miss though. Ede was kicked out of the gym challenge, and we learned that there was a statue hidden behind the mural. I was set free to face the next gym, so I did what might be possibly one of the fastest runs of Glimwood Tangle, and made it to Balonlay. I decided to take a little peek at what Opal's team was, and I'm glad I went ahead and got Earthquake. My preparations were looking good. I had Psychic Fangs and Gyro Ball I knew for sure I could use on Weezing, Earthquake for Mawile, and then Gyro Ball to reliably damage her last 2 Pokemon. Something else I also took advantage of here. Her first question will raise or lower your Pokemon's speed, and I actually chose to answer this one wrong. Greedent was already slow, so taking the speed drop just made Gyro Ball a better move choice. Opal, retired. The next gym on my list was Gordy, who I was already prepared for. I decided to head that way until Hop forced me a battle. This was actually a tough battle. He figured out a good team. His team might have been full of counters, but I still found a way to push through, because Greedent is just built different. Greedent is Route 8 is one of my favorite routes. So many Unova Pokemon. I like Unova. I then made it to Sirchester and took on Gordy's gym. Thanks to my preparations with getting Earthquake and Seed Bomb, this gym was actually a fairly easy sweep. Gordy eroded. My next battle was another one against Hop, who went down with a bit of a fight. Honestly, this team was kinda worse than the last one. Really dropped the ball in his team building. I then made it to Spikemuth, which was closed for some reason, and went around to the other entrance. For some reason, Marty insisted on fighting me here, even though I can clearly see the entrance. I don't need her to tell me how to get in. This gym was one I was honestly excited for. Dark wasn't much of an issue, and I already knew I would be able to knock out Scrafty with little to no Yeah, so even though there's only one double battle required in this entire gym mission, you have to have 2 healthy Pokemon to participate in the mission. Not bad enough? Even after clearing the mission, they still require you to have a second Pokemon to take on the gym. It is a single battle. Why do I need 2? Piers was the biggest struggle of this entire run. I genuinely think this gym was made as a sick joke to counter this exact challenge. Let me tell you why. Piers' Obstagoon knows counter, and with our boy Chubbs, if an attack doesn't one-shot the Obstagoon, counter does enough in return to one-shot me. So, that's simple. Just max out attack prior to hitting Obstagoon. And, well, yes, that does one-shot Obstagoon. Malamar knows Foul Play. Foul Play uses the target's attack stat in its calculation, meaning my setup was also buffing this move. So, it's easy enough to work around this. Counter and Foul Play both do insane damage from physical attacks. So, I just need to use a special move. That bypasses counter, and not setting up for a physical sweep means Foul Play doesn't get any buffs. But that's the second issue. Obstagoon also knows Throat Chop, a move that prevents sound-based moves for 2 turns. Greedent's special attack options are almost entirely sound-based. The only reason I was able to even beat this gym was because I managed to get Piers to use counter instead of Throat Chop on a turn I went for Uproar. This gym was such a pain to do that I genuinely had a nightmare not long after, specifically about this. But it's over now. I never have to deal with this again. Piers outperformed. There was one gym left, and in the Galar fashion, there was basically no story between gyms again. The most the story did was Leon beat a random Dynamax Pokemon. Good job. Raihan's gym was a test of patience. This was a double battle gym, as expected, but this gym made me mad. As you remember from Piers' gym, it required 2 Pokemon to participate. For Raihan's gym, not only did you need 2 Pokemon to participate, you also needed 2 healthy Pokemon to take on each fight. My Grookey had to constantly be revived during this, all because I needed a second Pokemon to even start the next battle. The actual gym was honestly a mess. I learned very quickly that wasn't easy to do a double battle with only 1 Pokemon. I pushed through this battle though, and finished my last gym. Raihan, I don't even have anything weird to say here. Dragons aren't even real, Fairy Tale Boy. Now it was time to head for the Elite Four through the Victory Road, and wait, there's no Victory Road. What the heck is Galar Route 10? Well, that's fine. I could just take on the Elite Four. Oh wait, I gotta find my rivals first. Leon is missing. Ah, I want my dinner. Yeah, Hop and I got hangry. So we stormed Rose Tower and begged Leon to get us McDonald's. It's time for the Elite Four. I can't wait to see what... Oh, come on. So, there's no Elite Four either. Just a tournament with some past gym leaders. Speed went down fairly easy. Nessa as well. B was honestly less of a struggle this time. And Raihan didn't have anything against me now that it was a single battle. Finally, the moment we were waiting for. The chance to battle Leon. And show, once and for all, how good Chubbs... The heck, Rose? Yeah, so, Darkest Day. An issue literally wasn't going to happen for another 1,000 years. Well, yeah, this guy had the idea to force it upon the people of today. I knew what had to be done, so I let Chubbs run wild and demolish Rose's team. Turnus put up a good fight, but he managed to calm its rage and save the Galar region. Finally, I can actually take on Leon. I spent a bit of time playing my moves, and I found that Ice Fang, Earthquake, Thunder Fang, and Seed Bomb worked out to give me a strong move for all 6 of Leon's Pokemon. And just like that, victory was mine. Chubbs had managed to complete an entire playthrough by himself. Something typically only done with a full team of 6, he was able to do as one. I want to take a moment to thank you for watching. This was a fun little project I wanted to make to celebrate my first year of making videos. I would love to make more videos like this in the future, so if you have any weird playthrough ideas, please do let me know.